New York's first legal marijuana shop has officially opened, and as you might guess, officials are hoping that the budding industry is going to bring in lots of tax revenue. This has been a long time coming for the Empire State, which legalized cannabis for recreational purposes back in March of 2021. And now nearly 3 dozen marijuana stores are set to start ringing up sales in the coming months. Now, New York is the 4th most populated state in the entire United States, and with a retail tax of 13% on all products, there is a lot of money to be made in the cannabis industry. Well, joining us now to break it all down is DeAngelo. He's a global cannabis consultant and strategic advisor. So, first of all, how much is New York State projecting to collect in tax revenue as a result of allowing legal marijuana shops to open up?
Well, I'm sure they're projecting in the hundreds of billions of dollars annually for tax revenue. Once the program gets up and running and enough businesses are licensed and are producing cannabis. So I think that's what they're projecting. Yes, the tax revenue is something that officials have a lot of exuberance over when it comes to legalizing cannabis.
What is the state planning to do with all of this money? Because we know that obviously not everybody has necessarily supported the legalization of marijuana. So is there any intent to kind of funnel this money towards good causes, per se?
Well, tax money is always supposed to be funneled into good causes. But when it comes to cannabis taxes, usually there's money set aside for a drug abuse education for youth. There's usually money set aside for schools and younger people. And sometimes there's money set aside for communities, local communities. And of course, there's money set aside to pay for the regulatory framework that must be built to legalize cannabis anywhere.
Yeah, well, we also know that New York is specifically going to be funneling some of this money towards programs that are going to be helping people who have been jailed for marijuana possession in the past, or trying to right the wrongs of some of the cases in which people's lives have been derailed by marijuana charges, now that the state has completely obviously changed its perspective on this. You know, I'm also interested to know, New York is certainly not the only state in the United States that has chosen to legalize marijuana. How many other states have done this so far, and what has the outcome been for them?
Well, the United States has about 38 or 39 of the 50 states that have legalized cannabis in some form, either medical or adult use. About 80% of our population lives in a state that has some form of legalization. So it's quite prevalent here in the United States. On the state level, we do not have legalization on the federal level, which causes all kinds of problems. In New York, you're correct. The program is quite innovative in terms of empowering folks that have been arrested and imprisoned for cannabis. In the United States, there are still thousands of people in prison for cannabis, despite legalization in all these places. And New York is trying to give those folks that have been most impacted the first shot at licenses. There is a public fund set up, a public-private partnership fund set up to help fund these businesses. That fund has not gone so well in terms of raising money. This is one of the problems that we're having in legalization all over the country right now, is because the regulations are so burdensome and because the taxes are quite high, we are having dual markets where we have what I call the legacy market or the underground market, right, and then we have the legal market. And so,
well, actually, I want to ask you about the black market here, because obviously, you know, one of the issues that we're going to be seeing now is with the onset of legalized shops opening up, what is going to happen to the black market, and is New York going to be cracking down even more heavily? Have other states done that? Can you give us a quick answer on that?
Well, yes, they probably will crack down. Here in California, there's enforcement against unlicensed operators. I don't like to call it the black market. I like to call it the underground market, because we have terrible problems with racism here in the United States, and the drug war has really impacted those communities. But yes, there will be enforcement, and I worry about Prohibition 2.0 and just basically locking up the same people we've been locking up before, but this time they don't have a license. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us.